all round start species in Space Station 14 must breathe some form of gas in order to survive. There are species outside of round start that don't need to breathe. Obviously, cyborgs don't need to breathe. Skeletons, for example, don't need to breathe anything. But in general, if you are living, you need to breathe something. Most species in the game breathe pure oxygen. And of these species, there are the arachnids, the dwarves, the volcanon, the moths, the humans, the lizards, and Diana need to breathe pure oxygen. Diana will get to in a second. I'm sure these labels will help. In general, you need to have about 20 kPa worth of your respective gas in order to breathe. For example, the oxygen canister, if you're a human, round start, will come set at 21 kPa pressure. You generally just need 20 or higher in order to actually breathe correctly. This changes with things like super cooled gases, and I'm not getting into super specifics. This is a very basic guide. For some reason, the guidebook does not cover what your species actually breathes, and this leads into situations like Vox and Slimes literally choking to death because they don't know what is like wrong and why they can't breathe, and this leads to people killing the species because they don't know what type of air they even need to breathe. For doctors, I have seen doctors and security officers kill Voxes because they don't know they need to breathe nitrogen. In order to breathe, well, the default atmosphere of a station will look like this. There will be some carbon dioxide as a byproduct from people breathing, but it will generally be a spread of nitrogen and oxygen. This makes everyone happy except the Vox. We'll get to them in a moment. So I am above my 20 oxygen requirement as a human, so I'm not suffocating. That is great. This also follows like Earth-like atmosphere. Of course, doesn't have all the trace gases, but that is a general rule. This is what a normal atmosphere will look like. So when things go bad, every person will start with their correct oxygen or nitrogen tank in their inventory. If you are unaware of how to breathe correctly, you need your tank. You can hold it in your hand, put it in your pocket, put it in your suit slot if you're able to, whatever you have to do. You can even take your backpack off and put it there. If it's a big size canister, for example, this canister can actually strap on my back. For whatever reason, the extendeds can't. They definitely should. It's just one of those inconsistent things to punish new players. So once you have your tank equipped, it is useless to us without a mask, but you also will come with a breath mask. You just take the mask and you press Z and you'll have it on your face. Now, to start breathing through your mask, there are 3 ways to do this. You can go up to your action bar and toggle internals. You can go over to your internal option on the right here and click this button. This will immediately toggle your internals. And finally, you can right click yourself and toggle your internals on, and this will let you start breathing. That is all you need to know about the basics of breathing through a tank. If you do not know what is in a tank, you can generally tell by their colors. Blue is almost always oxygen, and nitrogen is red, and that is sufficient to know for every species. People can of course change out the gases, and a gas analyzer will tell you what is inside your tank you are currently breathing. Normal oxygen tanks can have 5 liters of volume. The extended ones can have 1.5 liters, and the emergency ones are really small and only to be used in emergencies. So that's what this is about, is learning when to deal with an emergency. So we've already covered the oxygen breathers. There is no weird exceptions here. They all breathe just like I do. Arachnids do have a different suffocation limit, but that's not important for a new player. Diana are the weird ones in this. They can actually breathe oxygen or carbon dioxide. They are the only ones who can properly breathe carbon dioxide. So if the atmosphere is split between carbon dioxide and oxygen, they're fine. If it's pure carbon dioxide, they're fine. If it's pure oxygen, they're fine. This game does not have anything like oxygen sickness. It definitely should. But in its basic state as of right now, you just need either one of these. Slimes breathe nitrogen. However, they can have other elements in the air and be fine. For example, like how all the other species are fine with nitrogen being in the air, they don't die from it. Slimes breathe that nitrogen and they're fine with oxygen in the air. They're really not that complicated. They also suffocate really, really slowly. So if you are having an issue finding air, you have way more time as a slime than anyone else. Again, a little off topic. And the main purpose of this video is Vox. Vox can only have nitrogen. They breathe nitrogen just like slimes, but if there's any other element in the air, they will start taking poison damage, and they take it pretty rapidly. So Vox must always have their mask on with nitrogen unless they're in a pure nitrogen environment. You'll sometimes see these called Vox boxes, which are pure nitrogen, and slimes can go in it freely, of course, because they can breathe pure nitrogen. The other species would then have to use their own oxygen mask to go in a pure nitrogen environment. So when you see the funny chicken people, Make sure, if you are stripping them as a doctor or security officer, that when you go to strip them, you want to make sure that they have their mask on and have access to any form of nitrogen in a tank. In order to force somebody to start breathing, we can go through this really quickly. You just take the mask, you put it on their mask slot like so. If they have no other option, you're just trying to resuscitate them. Then you could take a canister, like a nitrogen tank, and put it in their hand. This works even if they're naked. You could also put it on their back. Then you just right-click them, and you click toggle internals on, and we are now saving this space chicken from suffocating to death. If you're a security officer or a medical doctor, this is a basic essential skill. Do not kill our bird friends. They need to breathe just nitrogen, otherwise you are going to kill them. That's really it. Again, it's a little unfortunate this stuff isn't in the guidebook. I'm sure that's an easy fix. And anyways, hopefully you learned something if you're new. If you're not new, I doubt any of this helped you, but I have seen experienced players kill Vox, so maybe somebody will learn something. Thank you for watching.